So I've just really enjoyed meeting you guys back at the start of the year, and when obviously you came on as clients, but we do like working with people who are doing something useful in the world, and Live in Flow certainly does that. And then just, I guess, coming into a deeper understanding over the months of what it is you do and the things that I've seen change in people's lives. It's pretty cool. So I can say, as somebody who's spent, I'm 50 now, quite a while, looking at different ways of seeing the world and how that relates and how we interact. And for me, it's what you do is really nice and clean and effective. Sounds a bit callous, doesn't it? But anyway, so what I'd like to do is if you could maybe just introduce yourselves, maybe if we even just start with Matt, and a little bit on your background. Yeah. And then why I would like to move into why you decided to work together, because obviously each of you have quite strong backgrounds in your own fields. You didn't need to, you had your thing going on. So what made you decide to put that brand, if you like, together and work as a team? So over to you, Matt. Life story in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Yeah, of course. What angle do I take? So yeah, I've been exploring like mental health and well-being and spiritual work for since I was about 11, I guess, because I was forced into that because I couldn't sit still in school. My dad punished me by making me listen to personal development set tapes and doing reports on it. So it was his way, his approach to actually disciplining me. And through that, I was picking up different meditation techniques and so forth. And then that kind of went on a windy road, and I got defiant and went on my own way and found my way back to this work. And I think over the years, it was something that just kind of spoke to me. And I always had this sense that there was something more to my experience in the world than just this physical, get a job, get married, and then all of a sudden you're dead, right, kind of thing. Or not in those orders, maybe, I don't know. But it's a quick physical kind of, there's a bigger purpose to it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so that's where I was always going. And through that journey, I learned how to be more settled and at peace and in my heart, in my own self in life. And that also then gave me a plethora of tools that I am able to utilize through sound, breath, meditation, and all kinds of things to support other people through their challenges, their traumas, their stresses in their lives and relationships, and help them to find a better way of being in this short span of life that we have here.
So that's your particular skill set, Matt, how would you sum it up?
I don't really know if I actually can. I work with sound, I work with breath, but those are just two modalities. I think it's hard to sum up because I've gone from so many different angles of shamanic work to spiritual work to psychology to you name it, and I've put it all together, and I've merged creativity with spirituality and have like my own take on things. So it's really challenging to put it into just an encapsulated package, I guess.
No, that's okay. It's just sounding like rich fertilizer right now. Pretty cool. So yeah. Guy, a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm from Wales, so my background's very different than Matt's, but essentially I've been on a path of my own journey, searching for a long time in, I think, what is true wellness? What does it mean to be truly living from a place of, from the heart, but also through joy, through being at peace and not constantly in a place of fear, stress and anxiety, which is, of course, we're seeing more and more at the moment. And I've had the good fortune of working in the health and fitness industry for a long time. I've been exposed to a lot of professionals and a lot of people, and even I've been working with people with chronic disease from a rehabilitation aspect for some time too. And the one common message that I was seeing from all of that was that I think we settle for something that is not necessarily us, and our optimal way of well-being is so much more than what we think it is. And I've been searching and hungry to get to that point. And from that place, it allows us to live from a much richer, deeper place of experiential experiences day by day. And I just feel that we are missing out on so much. And I always say this work is truly helping people remember who they are, because we forget. The longer we go in a certain way, we settle for something, and that can fester over time and manifest up in many different ways, whether it be in the physical body or in our environment, in the relationships and the places where we are. And it's not until that pain is so great we then decide to do something about it. So I've always been looking at, well, how do we navigate back to that, to come back to our hearts, to come back to what true well-being is, and living from that place, but also not wait till the pain is too great, because the longer we wait, the more difficult it becomes to turn around. And we don't want to get to that point where things are completely broken down, where you're trying to bring a million pieces back together, you know. So that's what I'm passionate about, and that's been my journey, long story short, and that's led me to this point as well.
I'd also suggest that the longer we wait, yes, there's more mess to pick up, but there's more potential loss too in the time in our lives that we've got to go and live that, you know. Pretty cool. So Petra, thanks so much for joining us all the way from Croatia. And
thank you for having me.
And warm, and I'm not jealous at all right now.
It is beautiful and warm. Yeah, but I feel the same way when it's summer on your side.
That's right. I suppose I get it a bit easier. So if you could maybe just sum up a little bit about your background, and if you like to call it your skill set, that would be really great.
Sure. Well, I've been feeling that I will be helping people heal since I was very, very young. But my life did turn in the other way. It took the other turn because I actually ended studying economics and being in that corporate world for many years. But along that journey, I was always educating myself in all those therapies and modalities on the side. So even when I was studying economics, I was studying to be a yoga teacher, a Reiki practitioner, an aromatherapist. You know, I've been studying all the time. And finally, at some point when my life broke down and I had to pick up my own pieces, I could make a decision whether will I be going back to corporate world, or I'll finally start living my life's purpose, or my soul's purpose. And I chose the second. And as I was starting to help other people heal, I was actually helping myself to heal as well at that time. And then my life just took an amazing turn, and it just kept on flowing. And that's why we are working together as a living flow, because guides just flew to me in a way. And it was a beautiful combination of various events that happened in my life that brought us together. And when you ask me about my skill set, wow, I don't know even how to divide everything that I know and what I do. But I would say that my gift is to intuitively feel and know what people need in certain moment. And I somehow use everything that I've learned so far and the gift I have to help those people. Mostly I work with subconscious mind and with bodies and with souls. So regardless, is it helping somebody to heal on the physical level, or to understand why certain situations are reoccurring in their lives, or any other challenge, and help them resolve it and grow through it. It's just, I just use whatever is coming to me. I don't question, and I don't, just like Matt said, you know, it's very hard when you're for so long in doing this work. It just blends together, and you just follow your heart, and you just do what you feel you have to do in certain moments. So it's hard to, you know, really distinguish all those techniques and therapies that I use.
It certainly becomes
that would be me.
Part of who you are, and I've seen you in action.
Exactly.
When somebody's standing there and they think they've spoken their truth, and then you just go, hang on a minute, and help them dig a little bit deeper until their face lights up and they're going, oh wow, I didn't imagine I could ever be like this, or think this, or say this, or find this
exactly
about myself. It's very powerful. It's very fun watching that happen. It's a good game. It's not a game, but it's good fun. So as far as how you all found each other from various points on the planet, I mean, you've all traveled, you've all explored a lot. How did that happen?
Guy's fault.
Yeah, Guy,
All his fault. Yeah.
It's essentially, I knew Matt,
Who's
and
Pat?
Petra. It's a great combination of Petra and Matt. I'm going to start calling
Pat.
you that. This
All right,
is
we're
perfect.
Pat.
You're Pat. You're the Pat team. So
Better than being Petra.
yeah. So, oh, that's beautiful. So essentially, on my own healing journey and on my own exploration, I worked with Petra and Matt individually and explored their work as well.
Mm-hmm.
And through my own transition from selling my old company and moving out and wanting to get this information to many more people, I just had this feeling and idea and thought of really wanting to connect us all together and create. I felt like I was bringing a band together, you know, bringing the best musicians, if you like, collectively together to see what could be created from that. And both were very open to it, and we had a Zoom meeting like this, and you know, I knew both of them dearly independently, and from that we instantly all connected and resonated, and we ran our first retreat a few months later. And from that, once we ran that retreat and we worked so coherently, so cohesively, I think we even surprised ourselves what actually came out of that. It was like when you combine something by 1, 2, 3, it 10x's its potential as opposed to just being individually on its own. And from that collectiveness coming together, I felt like we 100x'd it, and it was, we come out the other end going, that was incredible. This is too beautiful not to explore even more. Yeah. And I think that's what happened. We continue to explore it from there.
I really loved the name Live in Flow. It just sums everything up, I think, that we kind of hope to achieve, you know, to be fulfilling our potential and just going with the flow of what the next adventure is. I don't want to by any means trash the work that anybody else is doing, because I know everybody's bringing the best that they can be. But to me, there is something quite special about that synergy of you working together and what does come out in the events and in your online coaching as well. I'm trying to sum up, you know, how would you say, you know, when people say, oh, I've tried things before and it never quite connected until this, have you got a way where you're able to describe that, or why this framework is so effective?
I wouldn't say that we know rationally. We are in awe every time as well, and we feel even more grateful and humble each time it happens. With each retreat we do, we just feel extremely blessed. And I don't know if we can rationally explain why and how this happens. I would say because we give all ourselves, you know, all our hearts, all our souls, all our bodies into helping people. And when you work like that, like the three of us do, and when especially for me, I feel extremely supported and loved by Guy and Matt when I work, and I can surrender fully and in that way help people even more beautifully. And I feel that each one of us do that for the other two. And it's just, it was meant to be. I wouldn't say there's a rational explanation. Maybe boys with their man mind can explain this, but I can't with my female mind.
When I think about it, we used to take people sailing, you know, it's a pretty powerful yacht that Michael's got out there, and people would come down to the dock and often scared of sailing, you know, and they'd be tentative getting on board, and then watching their faces light up with joy as they felt it. They felt the machine and the wind and the power, and really, and I always had trouble bottling that on a brochure, I tell you. And so I think the closest I've come is that, and the synergy of the work that you do is kind of that, but whole of life and mission and purpose. It's on a bigger scale. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. Can I add to that as well?
Yeah.
Like, as you guys were talking, it just kind of it is hard to articulate, I think, you know, because it's such an etheric thing, and there's some essence that is beyond what we can comprehend, which makes it beautiful. But there is also some key components that I've witnessed through working with these two that I think make it all happen and make it gel. And the first one is that we have different strengths that actually complement one another. And I know just me and Guy together, like Guy, we actually do reverse paths. Like Guy kind of came from Western world, no like idea of any of this stuff, and then went right into it over like getting the science around it. And I just like dove off the deep end and then had to figure out what the hell I was doing. So we came from different angles, and through that we've actually then meet and we can support one another in that. And then Petra comes in from this place of this powerful feminine strength that neither me or Guy could even attempt to touch or approach. So it's like it just gels, and then we have our skills that we've learned. And I think on top of that is that we've all gone through some pretty in-depth experiences in our lives of growth and challenges, and through that, it's one, humbled us, and two, created an authenticity that I don't think that you can teach. And I think that's where we meet, is through this authenticity of heart, and we have such a passion to help and to give back. And I think that brings us all together, and this creates a synergy that just moves us like a powerful boat through the water.
So actually leading into that, and regardless of the format, whether it's through the online group coaching or the retreats or the workshops, the half-day workshops, are there any stories that jump to mind where people have sent you feedback on the impact that spending some time with you guys has had on them and the processes that you've taken them through that you'd like to recount?
There's a few. I've had multiple of them on my podcast alone.
It's a 3-hour interview.
Yeah.
3 minutes, baby. No, I'm not timing, but we'll keep it.
Yeah. What springs to mind to me straight away is Sharon. And she lost her husband unexpectedly 14 years ago. He went running on a triathlon and never came back. And from that stage, they found him later and realized he had passed away. And it was at a young age, and left her with 2 young boys. Well, she was, I think, 8 or 9 months pregnant with the second bub just due to be born. And as you can imagine, a lot of trauma and a lot of grief came from that, and a lot of integration over many, many years. And but when she'd been doing work with us and she'd come to our retreat, one thing that we didn't realize either, that she was a dancer, but she hadn't danced, and I think in 20 years plus, if I'm not mistaken, because she had back issues. And from the back issues, she had seen multiple different treatments, but every time she had the treatment, the back would always go back to the way it was over time, and was trying to get to the root cause. But she describes it in the retreat, from doing all this work, reflecting in and working with the sound, there was an unwinding. She could feel it starting to shift and move, and from that unwinding, basically what happens, the autonomic nervous system, which controls all the systems of the body, was able to slowly start to reset itself and release whatever was holding her back traumatically from that, whether it be the grief, whether it be from the accident. And she started dancing again. And to this day, as far as I know, this is now going on 18 months later, she's still freely able to dance again and move as well. So that's just one example of what we've witnessed and seen.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. Matt or Petra, do you have anything that comes to mind, or are the stories just scrambling over each other?
I just see all the faces, and then Shane and Brent and Fleur, and I just remember people coming in on the first night and then seeing them after living the life that actually they were afraid to live before. And, it's not just one story. I just see so many people that changed and that allowed us to lead them to the process of change, and that trusted us, that despite feeling, afraid and anxious or depressed or facing any physical illnesses when they arrived, and then just seeing them a few months after living, this life with their smile on their faces and just staying connected with each other. That's another beautiful thing, which I feel it's very important and beautiful, which always warms my heart when I see them, being in touch and supporting each other and being happy for any changes that are happening and continue to happen in their life, even 2 or 3 years after the retreat. So I cannot, just pull one story because there are so many of them. But I do feel very grateful to be able to witness that transformation and to be part of it.
No, that's excellent. I mean, I certainly appreciate the work you do. And even as someone who thought, yeah, I get it a few months ago, I think I get it a bit more now. So it's good fun. Okay, well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you. And yeah, I'm keen to put this up for other people to get to know you and maybe get a taste of your work through the free 7-day meditation challenge or joining one of the online meditations, the pay by donation, and maybe even coming to a retreat, depending on the situation and when they're on. So yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you. And,
thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jo. You're welcome.
Enjoy
Is Ava in the background?
That's all right. She's
Yeah,
Ava is always welcome.
Ava is part of the team.